Have you ever blurted out something and instantly wished you could turn back time? We've all been there, that moment when your words feel like an arrow you can't pull back. But imagine if you could master your speech so that every word you say reflects wisdom, finesse, and inner strength. That's exactly what we're diving into today. 6 things an intelligent person never says, all inspired by the timeless philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us that words aren't just sounds. They're reflections of your intellect and values, from avoiding meaningless bragging to embracing the power of silence. These habits not only shape how you communicate, but also define who you are. And the best part, by the end of this video, you'll have practical insights to immediately elevate the way you speak, whether it's at work, with friends, or even in your inner dialogue. So get ready. This isn't just about what you say, it's about how your words shape who you are. Don't miss this. We're about to embark on a journey that will transform how you understand the true power of avoid boasting about knowledge. Speech number 1. Avoid boasting about knowledge. Have you ever met someone who couldn't stop talking about their knowledge and accomplishments? They'd go on about everything. They know the lessons they've learned and even the books they've read. At first you might be impressed, but over time that initial fascination turns into distance, not because their knowledge lacks value, but because the way they showcase it makes others feel overshadowed. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that true wisdom doesn't need to flaunt itself. MarcusAurelius once wrote, "Nature does not boast about what it creates, and neither should we take credit for our wisdom." This isn't just advice, it's a way of life. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a friend named John, an expert in the tech field in meetings or gatherings. JN always tried to be the smartest person in the room. He'd talk about major projects he'd worked on, the complex technologies he'd mastered, and even the awards he'd won. At first, people were captivated, but over time they began to feel like John was turning every conversation into a personal showcase. One day, a colleague candidly told him that while his knowledge was impressive, his approach to sharing it was alienating others. That moment was a turning point for John, as he realized that in trying to impress, he was unintentionally pushing people away. This is a common trap that many people fall into. When you feel compelled to share your knowledge or accomplishments, ask yourself why. If your goal is to help others or contribute to a conversation, that's great. But if it's to seek admiration or recognition, it's time to reconsider. When you boast, you not only devalue your words, but also create an invisible barrier between yourself and others. Instead of inspiring people, you make them feel judged or measured against your intellect. Stoic philosophy offers a solution. First, let your actions speak louder than your words. If you truly possess knowledge, it will naturally show through your work and how you solve problems. Second practice, humility. Humility doesn't mean downplaying your abilities. It means allowing others to discover your value through interaction and experience. Finally, listen. When you listen, you don't just learn from others, but you also show respect and build deeper connections. Listening is a form of silence that Stoics consider incredibly powerful. Silence isn't a lack of knowledge, it's a sign of confidence and understanding. John learned this lesson slowly but deeply. He began talking less about himself. Don't overshare future plans. The Stoics emphasize that keeping promises isn't just about fulfilling obligations. It's about protecting your credibility and respecting others. Empty promises, no matter how small they seem at the moment, can slowly chip away at your reputation and trustworthiness. Let me share a story that might sound familiar. Meet Jim, a middle-aged professional with a warm demeanor and a tendency to agree to almost anything people ask of him, whether it was helping a friend move, volunteering for an extra project at work, or promising to attend every community event. Jim had a default response: sure, count me in. But as life got busier, those well-intentioned agreements began to pile up, and he started forgetting or failing to show up one day. A close friend invited Jim to an important family dinner. Jim, as usual, agreed enthusiastically, but later forgot and scheduled a work meeting at the same time. The day after the dinner, his friend told him how disappointed their family was. It was a wake-up call for Jim. He realized his words meant to please in the moment were causing more harm than good. His promises, though not malicious, had become hollow, and they were damaging the relationships he cared most about. This scenario highlights a common trap. Sometimes we overcommit to avoid awkwardness or to appear agreeable. But the Stoics teach us that words should be purposeful and aligned with our actions. MarcusAurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In other words, authenticity and intention should guide every promise you make. Saying yes without conviction often stems from a fear of disappointing others, but what actually causes more harm is failing to follow through. So how do you avoid making empty promises? Start with a pause before agreeing to something. Take a moment to consider whether it aligns with your priorities and whether you can realistically fulfill it. If not, a respectful no can be far more valuable than a hesitant yes that never